Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is LJ and you're watching NoClutch Garage. Today I'm here at EuroMpire. I came here to actually film another thing that I'll be announcing later, but actually by the time this video comes out I would have already announced that, so it doesn't matter. But all my parts are here. So here we have some of the parts that we'll be using for Revenant. Just got a bunch of stuff here. We got some gaskets and stuff. And you know what, guys? I just realized I never fucking told y'all what happened. So let's rewind. But before we do that, I want to show you guys this craziness. So the shop got a truck, and then Matt decided to go ahead and go get it wrapped like the OG M3 livery, but no detail goes unnoticed. He changed the logo to an M250i, which is fucking funny. And then we have James over there maneuvering. This little guy right here, I think he's taking some video for the shop as well. Let's go over here to my car and we'll talk about this a little bit. Alright guys, so here I am, and here's my car under the car cover. So basically I didn't tell you guys what happened or why my car has been down. Some of you have seen it on Instagram that it was down. Basically turned the motor up really high. So I revealed my numbers on my previous kill tune was 730 horsepower. That was an E50 mix with methanol M1. So with that we were able to achieve 729 horsepower, and the car honestly ran really good. I never had issues with it. When I went to Atlanta for that 140 class event that I did end up winning, we tested, I think we did like 3 test runs, and the whole time when I was testing I had Marin on the phone. So as soon as I did a run I sent him the logs and he was like, yeah, you're good or no. And then I told him at one point, hey, I'm stuck between the 130 and 140 class, so I'm either gonna be too fast for the 130 or too slow for a 140 class. So we had to make a decision. The smart thing to do would have been to not push the car anymore and then just try to sandbag it, but I didn't want to win the 130 class. I felt like I could compete in the 140 class. So I went back and we did some retuning, and basically we decided we were gonna go for the 140 class. And to go for the 140 class we were gonna have to turn up the car a little bit more. So when I got there, the car was peaking about 30 psi, which isn't bad. That's 730 horsepower. Fuel was there, everything was there. We decided to turn it up. We turned it up just a little bit, about 3%. It wasn't that much. It made the difference between me running in the low 130s to running right on the dot at 140. And actually I feel like it would have ran a little bit quicker if my transmission wasn't slipping so bad. But my transmission was slipping pretty bad because obviously I'm pushing way too much torque through the motor and the transmission can't take it anymore. I mean, it's about 680 torque on the kill tune on the dyno, but then when we turned it up I imagined the torque was a little bit over 700. So anyway, we turned it up, it ran flawlessly all day, it did great, it did amazing, won the event. We went out street racing that night, it ran perfectly, no issues. Well, the only issues that I had is that it got cold, so I was over boosting a little bit, but that was something that I could fix with the click of a button basically. So it ran good all night, and then the next day, my first test pass, I blew piston 1. I mean, that happens. I actually, before we left, I told my team, I told Matt EuroMpire, I told Marin, I told, you know, some close friends that we race with, hey, I'm going to Atlanta expecting to not come back in one piece. Meaning, I'm either gonna break my draft shaft, or I'm gonna break my transmission, or my motor, or my manifold. Because I knew that the manifold was gonna be struggling since we were pushing more than 30 psi through it. Out of all of those things, I expected either my manifold or my transmission to break first. I never expected my motor to break first. It was a stock motor. We were pushing well over 750 horsepower on the stock motor. So the fact that it broke is not really that big of a deal, or not really that surprising. I did fully expect to break something, and that's just something kind of, it's just something to expect when you're doing this kind of stuff, when you're actually racing and competing. Stuff breaks all the time, and motors can be one of them. Transmission could be one of them. You never know. And so like with this, I also wanted to put something to rest, which was like, stop fucking hating, yo. Like, if you've never raced competitively, you don't understand that things like this happen all the time. And yes, it has happened to me before, and I will admit, the first time a motor popped, it was because of my own negligence. I didn't have enough fueling, and we didn't have many fueling options back then anyway. But yeah, I popped that one because of my own negligence, and the car burnt down. That wasn't my fault. And this motor popped simply because we pushed it too hard, and I was already kind of expecting that. And I'm telling you, I was expecting that because I already had a motor set aside for this very reason. I already knew that something like that was going to happen. So we had the motor ready. The only thing we didn't have is the parts. As you saw, the parts are starting to come in. Yeah, the motor blew, cylinder walls are a little scored. It's nothing crazy, but I can't really reuse that block without sleeving it or boring it out to a 3.2. So I'm gonna keep the block and then just probably build it. I mean, honestly, I'll probably just leave it and do like a 3.2 stroker or something like that. But this is just me talking right now, so don't take my word for it. I might decide not to do anything, but for now, that was one of the ideas that I had. For this build, though, it's gonna be pretty standard rods, pistons, and a little bit of head work just to keep the power in the car, in the motor. So yeah, that's what's happening. Yeah, my car broke. It's been down a few weeks, but the parts are, I think the last bit of parts are gonna come in tomorrow. So once all the parts are in, we can start tearing the motor apart. The motor's already out of the car. It's in there, and some of the parts are already off, like the manifold, intake manifold, exhaust manifold. And the next thing we're gonna have to do is take the motor completely apart, you know, because I think the differential is still there. We're waiting on a brace to hold the motor on the motor stand. That came in a few weeks ago from Titan. So all the parts are pretty much here, and then we just need to build the motor. So once the motor's built, we're gonna do some testing. I might decide to turn it up, but I also have a lot of exciting things coming that don't necessarily require me to turn up the motor. And honestly, I'm a little bit scared to turn it up anymore, not because of the motor or build quality or anything like that, but because of my transmission. Because breaking a transmission, yes, building a motor is kind of expensive, but you can kind of play with what you want to build. You know, if you just want to do a rods pistons build, it's relatively inexpensive. If you want to go sleeved, then you have to do a little bit more work. If you want to go stroker, that's a whole, you know, $6,000 crank plus labor plus other parts. So I decided I was going to do rods pistons. Pretty simple setup. It's very simple and it's very effective. And then just upgraded valve train just to keep the power down. So I know I already said all of this, but I just want to say it again so people understand what's actually going on. And I'm gonna document a little bit of it. I'm not gonna document the whole motor build because I also want to let these guys work and, you know, not have them be all nervous if there's a camera pointed at their face. The motor will be good. I want to say it'll be good for at least 900 to 1,000 horsepower, and that's to the wheel, that's not to the crank. And honestly, I'm happy with that. But I know how these things go. Like, by now, I already know that something somewhere is gonna fail. That's just gonna happen. So I'm gonna be ready for that. But yeah, I'm excited that, you know, I've had this car for maybe what, 5 months now, and it's about to have a built motor. It's honestly exciting. I didn't think I was gonna get here that fast, but you know, everything's been panning out in a way that's making all this possible. And yeah, we're only gonna go forward from here. I plan on doing a little bit more competitive racing, so that'll be cool. Yeah, I got some exciting stuff coming for you guys, so stay tuned. Go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and like this video, and actually guys, really like this video because that's gonna help me tremendously when it comes to the algorithm. I stopped uploading videos for a pretty good bit, and so that messed up my whole algorithm. But we're getting back up to speed, and hopefully by the time this video releases, we'll be good to go. But give us a subscribe, give us a like, go ahead and click the bell to get all the notifications, and I'll be seeing you guys next video. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.